Okay, so our next speaker is Lauren Strangio. So Lauren, please correct me if I didn't pronounce your name right. I tried that a number of times. And she's going to be talking about the foundational role of nutrition in the recovery and healing process. So I really believe that this is one of the biggest overlooked aspects of recovery is, giving our body what we need, the nourishment. And so Lauren is going to be sharing with us about that.
Most people don't think about diet when they enter treatment for addiction. They think about withdrawal. They think about counseling or group therapy. People in recovery talk about following the 12 steps and finding purpose in life. Eating a healthy, well-balanced diet is rarely mentioned. It's easy to overlook nutrition. Everyone knows they should eat more fruits and vegetables, but most people eat what makes them happy or what's quick and easy. That is until a doctor tells them that they are at risk for diabetes, heart disease, various cancers, and a host of other dietary-related diseases. The disease of addiction can contribute to poor nutrition or malnutrition. How substance abuse disrupts nutrition. The main side effect of an unhealthy diet is malnutrition, a condition caused by a lack of nutrients. Alcohol and other drugs deprive the body of its ability to absorb nutrients. Many people will substitute their drug of choice to relieve physical or emotional discomfort. When a person is using, it's hard to separate hunger cues from drug effects. The user's body can go into a state of malnutrition without even knowing it. Let's take chronic alcohol consumption as an example. Alcohol deprives the body of an important vitamin called thiamine. Every tissue in the body uses thiamine, including tissues in the brain, heart, liver, and kidneys. Without the vitamin, the tissues can't function properly. People with thiamine deficiency are more likely to experience dementia and Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. The syndrome is associated with a lack of coordination, vision problems, confusion, and memory loss. Chronic alcohol use also increases the risk of metabolic syndrome, which is associated with high blood sugar, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and too much body fat. Metabolic syndrome increases the risk of diabetes and heart disease. Opioids slow the way the body functions. Many people who take them feel sleepy. The drug also slows digestion and metabolism. That means the body isn't able to efficiently process nutrients from food. The most recognizable side effect of disrupted digestion is constipation. During opioid withdrawal, people often feel nauseated, vomit, and suffer from diarrhea. These symptoms can prevent food and water consumption at a time when the body needs fuel. Dramatic weight loss is the primary concern of people who chronically use stimulants, such as cocaine, methamphetamine, and prescription ADHD medications. Stimulant users are more likely to develop eating disorders, such as anorexia. People who go on cocaine or crystal meth benders may go days without eating or sleeping. When the bender ends, they're starved and they often binge eat. Additionally, crystal meth users often have problems with oral hygiene. They may be less likely or unable to consume solid foods because of missing teeth or pain while chewing. Substance use and eating disorders cause several similar side effects. On its own, each disorder deprives the body of nutrients. When addiction and eating disorders co-occur, the impact on the body can be devastating.
Okay. I think I got it on the first shot this time. Okay. So did I say your name right, Lauren?
Strangio, I
Okay.
hear all types of things. It really doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Yeah, either way.
Okay. So Lauren is a board certified nutrition consultant, and she's the co-owner of a Northern California-based nutrition practice guide called the Natural Health Improvement Center. And she's also the co-owner of the largest gym in Mendocino County in Ukiah Valley Athletic Club.
Yeah, Ukiah. It's okay.
We're working on it. All right. So,
Yeah.
so suffering from addiction in her past, she also found health and wellness to be her path to resilience. So while getting a personal training certification in 2015, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, she decided to specialize in nutrition. And Lauren uses something called the Morphogenic Field Technique that's created by Dr. Frank Springob. So welcome today, Lauren. I had you come on today, obviously after Julie, because the relationship with food a little bit. But really, when I first thought about the recovery process, one of the first things that came to my mind was also nutrition's been a huge part of my path. And you and I actually coached together on a becoming a health coach certification program, like in 2016. And I don't know if I shared this with you, but when we did a couple of virtual sessions together when that wasn't cool, right, back in the day, and
Right.
I was always really struck by your clarity and the power of your coaching. And so when we decided to come do this summit, I knew I wanted to talk about nutrition, and I knew that I wanted it to be you. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much. And I really tried to prepare this talk, but leaving room for letting the energy flow. And when I heard Julie talk, I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly where I'm supposed to come into this conversation, because I will tell you the anatomy and physiology of those things that she was speaking about and breaking it down. And then when she mentioned the end that her thyroid stopped working, it's like, that's exactly what happens. And me too. That happened to me too. And so I have a chart that I'll show later when I get into the organ systems. You'll see me geek out pretty hard because I really like to go into the reasons why. It's like, yes, nutrition, duh, right? But why? And so my background specifically, I actually became an addict at the age of 12. So I had what you would consider a great childhood, and I still know I have unresolved things, because every time I talk about my stepdad or my mom getting divorced, I still I still choke up. Which lets me know I have not grieved that fully. Now that I know more about emotions and my nervous system coming back online. But at the age of 12, from 12 to 20, I was literally smoking pot every single day, heavy into that. Drinking, I used cocaine, methamphetamine, and it was, very, not glorious. And I'm going to get into those parts of it where when you talk about nutrition deficiencies, well, there's a gritty part of addiction, whether it's, and then I went into food addiction, but there's a gritty part of that where you're not taking care of your body, where you're now so toxic in the body. Literally there's heavy metal buildup, whatever you're smoking out of. I will get pretty real when it comes to that. So basically from 12 to 20, I was on that lane. And then when I was 20 years old, I decided to switch gears. And that was because I landed a really great job, which is pretty interesting, knowing that at that time I was a drug addict. I was using methamphetamine, cocaine, 2 to 3 times a week, and then letting myself recover. And it was just this really weird life that I had, because I was presenting myself in the daytime as like this, normal person, whatever that is. And I had this like other side of me that people didn't see. And I really feel like with addiction, that's how it is, where we are hiding so much of that part of ourselves until we can't hide it anymore. And then it can get down a really bad path. But yeah, since the age of 20, I've basically turned my life around, and it was just like a conscious decision. I was actually called, I think it's called I was talking with my brother about this, is it a low bottoming or a high bottoming addict? Meaning, it didn't take much for me to realize that I needed to turn my life around. But everyone has that point of, or that day of, this is enough for me and I need to make the decision right now to do something better for myself, whatever limit that is, whether that's hitting rock bottom, and everyone has the different bottoms. For me, my bottom was, I purchased a house with my mom, and at 20 years old, I purchased my first house because I had such a great job at that time. And I couldn't bear the thought of my mom, my best friend, finding out that I was literally an addict, and that potentially I could lose her trust in me if for whatever reason, because I was getting drug tested at my job, if I got drug tested and I, got fired, and then all of a sudden this amazing accomplishment for a 20-year-old person to buy a house would be taken away. And so for me, that was enough. My mom's my best friend. So then at that point is when she took me under her wing, unknowingly to her at the time, but I cut out all my friends, and I really found fitness. My mom's an amazing athlete, and she just took me under her wing, and I just hung out with my mom for about a year. That's when I actually switched to, so I wasn't dealing with any emotions at that point. I just stopped using. So then I found a nice little addiction in food. So there's the cycle again, where if you're not dealing with the emotion, it really doesn't matter what addiction it is, because we're still trying to numb something or solve something. And so I was actually had bulimia for about 2 years until I finally hit my bottom then, which was actually making myself vomit while I was at work. And so these binge and purge cycles, living at my house by myself. I wasn't using anymore. Awesome. But I was literally binging and purging and like, going through fast food lines and getting all the worst things I could think of, and then going home and just eating and numbing out and then purging. And so it was the same process where I was now hiding this other side of myself again. And it wasn't until I actually, decided to see a therapist and really work through those emotions. Because as soon as I got to the therapist, I didn't talk about food. I didn't talk about drugs. I talked about my parents' divorce. I talked about my childhood and bawled my eyes out like I didn't cry like 10 years. And then I literally, it was just, everything came out. And since then, it's been this really freeing journey. And I am not perfect. When I heard Julie talk about how it's a choice each day, it absolutely is. And I was even talking to my brother, who's in recovery, about alcohol usage, because I still drink alcohol. And I think, and it's something I'm aware of, and I feel like it's a problem sometimes. And so no matter how perfect we think we are, or I'm 10 years on this recovery journey, I have not touched hard drugs, or I don't care to smoke marijuana ever again. And that's been 12 years. And so, but yet I still choose something, right? But anyway, that's another topic, but just kind of giving you my background on, I've been there, and now I'm having to deal with what my body went through during that time. And so I'm definitely wanting to give a breakdown of what happens when you deplete your body.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that background. That really makes a difference. I didn't know a number of those things. But I think it's amazing. And I know that you've been open about it on social media and things like that, which is what had me really, reach out to you as well. I think part of my own process recently as well is, going from doing the work to actually sharing the work and being more open and vocal about it. And it's been incredible just in the last 3 months. of promoting this event, how cathartic and how I can feel my recovery has just gotten so much stronger just by sharing about what's going on and letting go of that whatever shame or guilt might be there, suppressing talking about it to other people. That's been a big process about it for me as well. Okay, so I mean, so in terms of the recovery process, right? Did you have a specific nutrition protocol that you used in the nutrition your recovery process, or how did that go for you?
So I really wish that there was some type of support or common knowledge to what nutrition does in the body. I had no clue what I was doing. I mentioned my mom took me under her wing to really just exercise with her and be with her and be around a good group of people. I didn't know at that time that sweating was actually helping me recover.
Mm,
And why it's important is opening detox pathways, and sweating is one of them. Toxins get stuck in your fat cells. So I was unknowingly helping my body detox from all of the chemicals that I had been consuming. And then not only that, now you're actually upping your mitochondria in the cell, which is energy production, by exercising. And then by doing that, you're actually getting your nervous system back online by now naturally releasing dopamine and serotonin. So on a physiological level, like that's what I was doing. On a nourishment level, I was so depleted. I and then add like the eating disorder after having the drug addiction. Oh my
yeah.
God. So I mean, I just did the best I could. I started eating all organic, and it's literally one step at a time. It never started like just organic. I started with eating what I thought would help me lose weight or be healthy. Literally had no care about whether it was like not, meat that didn't have hormones in it or no nitrates or anything like that. It was just a slow process of educating myself each time. And then actually when I, met you during 2016 was when I was actually going through this whole other process of like the behavioral side and the behavioral health coaching part of it, where I learned how to now what Julie was talking about is shift your thoughts onto yourself and help yourself and reframe things for yourself. And that was a big, huge part of it. And then I had, 3 kids within a 7-year period. And so that depleted me even further. And so just to answer your question, I wish that there were tools for addicts or literally people in general about how to get the nutrients they need.
Mm.
I had
Yeah, I think that's a huge missing component. So did you have anyone advising you along the way, or you just kind of were self-guided in the beginning?
in the beginning, just very much, I was in a trauma response.
Mm,
And if, talking back about how you opened up this whole conversation about addiction, I still am working through about different trauma responses I had as a child. And
mm,
so for me, I use trauma response to be like, I'm going to be, not going to touch that stuff again. And I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make that happen. And then I'm just, and you're just going to get in this trauma response. And sometimes you can use that as like a superpower, but I don't really think that that's healthy. And but I was in a trauma response, and so for me it was, I had enough of that. I mean, how sick is that to be like, oh, my trauma response really served me well, because what I was doing was just avoiding things, and then finding my next right path as far as I started listening to Wayne Dyer a lot. And so really getting in tune with spirituality on my own level and putting myself around positive people. I wish I was more open to like a 12-step program or something that would have helped me along. It probably would have saved me a lot of suffering and trying to figure it out on my
yeah. It's so funny you said that. I was That's like, you just recreated my experience. I was gonna win at recovery. Like that was my mindset. Was I went to meditation retreats and I was gonna win at that. I was gonna meditate longer than anybody else. My
Right.
response was so weird in the beginning. It was like, I was just gonna use my willpower, which had me good at sports. And I just figured if I apply that to recovery, then I can just overcome it using my strength. And boy, that really,
Right.
yeah, I wasted like 5 years.
Right. Right.
So what is the role of nutrition in the recovery and like the healing process? I know that's a
Yeah.
broad question, but
Oh no, it's actually, so when I was like geeking out last night, I'm like, oh my God, all these different organ systems are just so depleted. So my first thought, right, is liver. Your liver has gone through hell. It has
mhm,
been detoxing toxins, or it's all clogged up from the usage, whether it's alcohol, hard drugs, or literally because when you're in these addiction states, I know for me, I could care less what I was eating. So
yeah,
it's all these depleted things. And so it's liver is a huge component. So now I just want to go through the different organs now that are depleted. So with the liver, what you want to do there is help it cleanse. B vitamins for the methylation process to help your liver cleanse, and all of the different interactions that are needed from B vitamins for your liver to cleanse. Also, herbs like milk thistle, dandelion root are some of the best herbs to get for liver cleanses. And what's nice about those is that those are tangible for most people wherever they are. If they have a like a health food store, or we have a co-op in town, and the people in the vitamin section are very knowledgeable about those herbs. And so those are really tangible. You don't want to go off so far off into herbs that you only have to go to a herbalist to get. What's going to be more tangible right now is to cleanse your liver: milk thistle, dandelion root. Awesome. The next thing I would look at right away is the stomach. So if you are drinking alcohol or you are eating crappy food, your stomach is just tore up. I mean, to say it gently, because at that time, now most likely sorry, you do not have enough stomach acid. Okay, so at that point, um, you are not absorbing proteins. So
mm,
all those amino acids you are not absorbing, which are so needed for all of these different enzymatic productions in the body. You are also one of the most common deficiencies is iron. And it's not because a lack of iron in our food. Iron is abundant in our food, but we are lacking the stomach acid to absorb the iron.
mm,
So it's not just about getting iron in, it's about looking at the stomach and the stomach acid. So what would show up if you were lacking stomach acid? A symptom of that is actually heartburn or indigestion. It's not because you have too much stomach acid that's happening.
mhm,
It's because you have too little stomach acid. So if you are having those issues and then you go to the doctor and they put you on Prilosec or a proton pump inhibitor that further reduces that stomach acid, there's a conversation that needs to be had there, because that is not the solution. Okay, so you need to now look at the stomach and give it the stomach acid it needs. So there's different digestive aids for that. Also, lack of stomach acid is due to lack of potassium, which is an electrolyte, which probably happens if you're consuming alcohol or other drugs. You're not thinking about your electrolytes. You are depleting yourself. And so from there, not only lack of potassium, it's actually your pancreas. Even beyond that is why you're lacking stomach acid. So there's all these different organ systems that are now being depleted. If you're not getting the amino acids from the protein that your stomach acid would help you digest, now you're not doing, say 300 different enzymatic productions in the body. It's huge. So stomach acid is huge. Talking about the pancreas, I thought this was super interesting because blood sugar. So I know when I was using, I would go a couple days without eating.
mm,
And then I would binge out after like my high would wear off. Then all of a sudden you're just like, I'm starving. Your pancreas is so pissed off at that point. because it is, all of a sudden your blood sugar is just like, I don't know, but your brain isn't really communicating with anything. So you're just kind of going that direction. And then you eat a huge meal, and then your pancreas shoots out all this insulin. And then your cells, which are designed to uptake insulin, are like, I don't want any more. And they literally stop uptaking the insulin. And then the renegade insulin goes off and oxidizes through the body. And it's like this big cycle of detrimental effects. And so with the pancreas, now you're looking at hypoglycemia. So here's the effects later on down the line. If you are not eating for a while and then eating big meals or consuming alcohol on a regular basis, that is creating hypoglycemia, and that is upsetting the pancreas, which then gets into, now you're looking at type 2 diabetes, and now you're looking into metabolic syndrome. Another thing about hypoglycemia. So when I was studying for the board, in the book, the Encyclopedia of Natural Medicine, a whole chapter on hypoglycemia. When you look at addiction, check this out. They had a whole various studies done, and large studies done that, so if the largest study was 3,900 incarcerated juveniles of both sexes were studied over a period of 2 years. So what they realized is that incarcerated individuals had hypoglycemia. And most of these individuals actually had highly aggressive behavior. And so what they did, the study, they took away all the crap food that they would serve them in jail, which is like soda and cookies and crackers, and they put them on a low glycemic index diet. Suicide rates went down 100%.
Wow. And
aggression went down to literally 20%. The people, the juveniles who were in jail that had to be restrained went down to 75%. Various studies done. And what's interesting is that men were more affected by hypoglycemia than women. And so if you look at incarcerated individuals, should we be looking at their pancreas? Should we be looking at hypoglycemia? And so where I'm relating that back to addiction is, say if the mom had hypoglycemia, and then she has a child who now has a pancreas that's already depleted, and they have hypoglycemia, which I have and have had since a child. You're not realizing that maybe due to a pancreatic dysfunction, that you're an aggressive person. So this is going back to what you were saying, Nathan, in the very beginning, is you're like, when a doctor's saying, let me fix you, let me do this. Why don't we look at the organ systems and look at the physiology and anatomy of what is happening here? Quit feeding the kids this crap or food coloring and all of these things. And what if they didn't have hypoglycemia? How many kids would not be in juvenile hall or looking for substance use? I just thought that was, I cried when I read that chapter. I was just like, So also you want to really look at the intestines, and literally the whole from your mouth to your pooper is a leaky gut. So you know, whether you are using alcohol, drugs, crappy food, literally if you have a hangover the next day, you might be popping some Advil or ibuprofen. All those things cause tears in the intestines, in the stomach. And then when you eat food, the food particles get in those tears and then into your blood, and then you got a nice little autoimmune disease going on. And it's really great because it's like this perfect storm, because autoimmune diseases don't get diagnosed for like 5 years after they've done all this testing. And then, you know, and then you have arthritis, and it's like, but then they give you medication for arthritis, and it's like, let's just heal leaky gut. So what I would do with a person that has addiction and recovery process is I would give them stomach acid. I would give them like a low glycemic diet and help the hypoglycemia. I would help with healing leaky gut. I would give a B complex vitamin. They're depleted. So if you have water soluble vitamins like B vitamins or vitamin C, B vitamins and vitamin C are depleted when someone is stressed out. If you can imagine a traumatic event happening in childhood, and then you are constantly in a trauma response from being in an addiction state, all of your water soluble vitamins are now depleted. So vitamin C, which is great for immunity and literally so many different things in the body. Vitamin B, completely depleted. All the different B complex vitamins are completely depleted. Now you're not detoxing. So you need B vitamins, you need vitamin C. Your brain is completely depleted because most likely you're not getting the right fatty acids you need, like omega-3s, or even therapeutic oils like black currant seed oil. Every person that walks into my office that has anxiety is low in zinc. So not only do you want to take a really great multivitamin, you better be taking some extra zinc. If you have anxiety, that's number one thing there. Most likely people are depleted in vitamin E, vitamin D, vitamin A, calcium and magnesium. It's incredible what happens to the body when these are depleted. So another part of that is now when you're trying to get out of an addiction state and get into recovery. So I had a teenager walk into my office last week, and her entire family was in, and we were talking about a vegan diet. And we were just talking about how to do a vegetarian and vegan diet. And she said, well, I just crave sugar all the time. So it would have been really mean of me to ask her to just stop eating sugar. When someone tells me that they're craving sugar, they have a yeast overgrowth in the intestines. So what we do is I just started doing, Nathan mentioned the Morphogenic Field Technique, which I do in the office, but I started just letting her body tell me what it needs. And anyone can Google the technique by Dr. Frank Springob. And it's on YouTube, and it was absolutely a yeast overgrowth in the intestines. And so instead of asking this young woman to stop eating sugar, which would have been really hard when everything in her brain is telling her to eat sugar, let's actually just go after the yeast overgrowth, and then the sugar cravings go away. I had that same thing happen to me. I think I was blessed with all these health conditions. Like when Julie was talking about how you really get to where are you serving your purpose? Look at your life's path. You already know that you're better. You're going to do something better with your life. There's something calling you in that direction. But use all of these things for what your gift is going to be. Like I had yeast overgrowth, hypoglycemia, autoimmune, rheumatoid arthritis, hypothyroidism, and those are all symptoms of being depleted. So with the young woman that came in the office last week, I gave her a supplement. It was actually just like a high potency garlic 3 times a day, and to kill the yeast overgrowth. So that's where we want to be as far as looking at if someone is depleted, looking at those areas. Trace minerals are huge. Like I mentioned, zinc, selenium. If someone's low in selenium, they're actually, it's contributing to a depressed mood. Chromium, if they're low in chromium, that is also contributing more to the hypoglycemia. Amino acids are extremely important. You wouldn't think that protein is great for energy, but when you look at amino acids individually, one of them is tryptophan, and that contributes to serotonin. So going back to stomach acid, if you're lacking stomach acid, now you're no longer getting certain amino acids. Now you are no longer getting all these precursors to neurotransmitters like serotonin. So.
Wow. I feel like I have like a million and one questions. So just so everybody knows, this is being recorded, right? So if you feel like that was a lot of information and you want to be able to go back and get that information, we will have a recording that will be sent out to everyone. That's like gold that you just shared with us there.
I know I'm a bit nerdy. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. So I think my last question is kind of, if somebody is new in recovery, right? Or let's say they've been in recovery for a while, but they're new to this conversation about nutrition. What are like some basic things that they can do like today? Maybe go out and get, a couple of different kinds of supplements, or what are like some non-negotiable things that they can do right now to increase their recovery process?
Open up the detox pathways. Allow your body to detox. What that looks like, if you have access to a sauna, or if you live around, I live around a lot of Native American cultures. Like I ask them, like, can I go into the sweat lodge? Sweat. Even if that means a hot tub, like I don't really like the chlorine that you'd be saturating in. Sweat, 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 because the detox pathways are sweating, breathing. So deep breathing techniques will not only help your nervous system come back online, but it's allowing the toxins to be exhaled out. Let's see. Yes, exercise is huge. Water, allowing that to go. Yes, opening detox pathways, help your liver. B vitamins, get those in. Because if you're now going to be trying to say supplement things and you're not detoxing properly, nope, you got to have that drainage, get the stuff out. So B vitamins for the liver, milk thistle, dandelion root, a high quality multivitamin. And I'm not talking just something you get at Walmart or Walgreens or anything like that. You need to go into a health food store, actually talk with the people there. If you don't have like a nutritionist in your area, high quality multivitamin with trace minerals in it. The trace minerals are super huge because most likely you're depleted in chromium, selenium, and all those things are super needed for many of the processes in recovery. If you're trying, do yourself a favor. If you're trying to recover, help yourself, help your body get there. Because if your nervous system is shut down, you will not be able to really fully take in that recovery process, because the systems, your neurotransmitters in the brain, it's all depleted and you need to keep those going. So open up the detox pathways, high quality multivitamin, a probiotic. Most likely your gut flora is so far off. Find an amazing probiotic and your mood will be lifted. Fatty acids, a good omega-3, very, very important for mood and for brain. I can't stress this enough. Help your gut, fix your gut. Probiotics, multivitamin with trace minerals, fatty acids, and take some extra zinc. The zinc in the multivitamin isn't going to be good enough at this point. You need more zinc. Anyone with anxiety that comes into my office, always low in zinc. High quality zinc, not crap. Really do yourself a favor during the foundational process here. Open up your detox pathways. Laughing. I love laughing. Laughing is huge. So detox pathways, laugh, multivitamin, probiotic, good fatty acid, extra zinc, because zinc's needed for dopamine and serotonin. These are so
awesome. Okay, and share a little bit about, so your giveaway for the people that are getting the bundle is a half off of a consultation with you. So just share a little bit about what that looks like and what they'll be getting.
So what I do basically in my office is I have all this geeky background and I'll be like quoting the Encyclopedia of Natural Medicine and stuff like that. But I also use a technique called the Morphogenic Field Technique by Dr. Frank Springob. And you can Google that and YouTube that. And what I do is I actually use energy and muscle testing to allow your body to tell me about different nutrient deficiencies and immune challenges. And that can look like just mentioning a couple other things in your environment to get rid of, to help your body detox. A moldy environment. Your body will be able to tell me if there's mold is an issue. If you live in a moldy environment, leave, because that is also contributing to the decline of the mental health for very many reasons. Mold, yeast, fungus, those things. And so your body will be able to tell me if it's dealing with an immune challenge in that way, or different bacterial or viral things. And I use energy, and I can actually even do distance testing, because it's quantum. So I could get really on that level of things. It is quantum theory, quantum physics, and what I use and with the field. So I can actually test anywhere. I have actually a ton of clients in the Bay Area, which are 3 hours away, that I've never even met in person, and they're really receiving the benefits of this work. So it's kind of hard to explain. It would take like a whole other half hour to get to what I do. But what someone would get with me is half off the consultation. So that's a $40 value. And then usually the first consult is about 45 minutes to an hour, because you see how I like to explain. I'm about to break down what's happening in your body to you, and use charts on the wall and really explain those types of things. So you would get half off that consult with me, and then I actually create a protocol for you specifically depending on what you're depleted in, and then I send you those things, and we start our relationship together at that point.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm sure people have a lot of questions about that. I know that I do, but we can discuss offline, because I'm interested actually about fasting and things like that, and what your opinion is about recovery in terms of fasting. But we're going to do a podcast as well, right? So we can do a deeper dive into those things as well. All right. Thank you so much for your time today. It was
Thank
amazing.
you.